All right, it's Bill here, and I'm not shocked. I said the last one, I think the Leafs still are in the series. They are not anymore. They could shock me. They could do whatever. Who cares? I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant at the end of this, so stay tuned. Trust me, this rant would have had a lot of colorful words. What I'm learning about myself as I'm watching the game is apathy. I'm sick and tired of watching the same nonsense over and over and over again. It's not good for my health. I don't know what the hell this team's plan is. We'll get into the Shanna friggin' plan, which, by the way, wasn't a plan to begin with, because a plan means you stay on the straight and narrow and you do what you want to do and you don't change it up midway, which, anyways, it was funny. Overtime started. My daughter came down, and it was overtime. So she was, well, they got a chance here to tie it up or to win it. I said, no, they don't. They're going to lose. I could tell from the 7-minute mark of the first period that they were going to lose. And it just comes down to basic effort, basic want, basic desire, basic, are you willing to go through all the hard nonsense to get things done? Are you capable of not having boneheaded plays? The Leafs are not capable of it. They have to have at least a couple boneheaded plays. I'd say they had about 5 boneheaded plays. 2 ended up in the back of the net. But they had 5, well, more than 5. They had 15 boneheaded plays. Hell, Mitch Marner himself had about 12 of them. It didn't matter. And then shortly after, it goes in the net. And I really didn't react. I knew what was going to happen. Yeah. It's just what it is. Well, there's been 4 teams that have come back from a 3-0 deficit. Pretty sure those teams had heart, character. One of them won a cup, the LA Kings, as I recall, beat San Jose to win the cup. One was Philly. They went to the cup after coming back against Boston, and Boston kicked their ass the next year. 75 Islanders, I think, was another one, and some 1940 Leaf team that won a cup way before my time. I don't know. One of those banners up there. Anyways, get in the game. I'll be quick about the game. The first 5 minutes were great, and Sam Lafferty scores a big goal. You're up 1-0, and you play defensive after that. You kind of lose your edge. You're up 1-0, and you start off the second period like the Leafs start off the second period. Like, again, has something changed the way that they start off second periods? They've pretty much started every game in the playoffs the second period the exact same way, which is garbage. And you have Michael Bunting not getting it into the zone. Michael Bunting is not a good enough player to not get it in the zone. And then Austin Matthews with the lazy one-handed whatever. And it turns around quick, forces Luke Shen to take a penalty. And while he's taking the penalty, he takes out the goalie while he's at it. Because heaven forbid we have a player that's actually played all right in the series continue to play. Samsonov down. You put in Wall. And you start him off with a couple one-timer shots. Get him in the game nice and easy. And then you have Jake McCabe with a boneheaded play. He's a moron. Now, I will share with you. I should have got this one, right? Because I've called 2 players Scarecrow in my life. If they only had a brain. Do 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 do. And banta banta, Little Wizard of Oz. Banta banta. If they only had a brain. Do 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 do. One was Jake Gardner, and the other one was Brian McCabe. Hey, if you take the first name off Jake Gardner and you take the last name off Brian McCabe, you don't have Jake McCabe, who I guess I'm going to refer to from now on as the Scarecrow. If you only had a brain. How in the world, with 3 seconds left, on a penalty kill that your team actually did a really good penalty kill, to be honest with you, you let a breakaway go in? You're killing a penalty. Now, I know Jake McCabe thinks he's Bobby Orr. The stats suggest differently. Maybe he was thinking offensively. I don't know. You're killing a penalty. At the very least, you should be inside your blue line when their team's got the puck. At the very least, you're inside the blue line. Now, if you're inside the blue line, Declare would have been offside to get the breakaway pass. Not Jakey, Bobby, or McCabe, the Scarecrow. He lets Declare go behind him because he's in front of the blue line. This is bonehead on a different bonehead level. Like, we got to put up 2 more years of this piece of crap's nonsense? Oh, I can see that's going to be good for me. It's going to be great for me. It's going to be great for my blood pressure. It's going to help with my apathy for sure. Jake McCabe is a disgusting player. That's a disgusting error. He's made 2 of them in round 2 of a playoffs. You don't survive those errors. They're errors that are not survivable. How in 3 seconds left on a power play, you let Duclair get behind you? What was he? It's just so stupid. The man is a moron. And of course, Duclair actually puts a hell of a move on, welcome to the game, Joseph Wall. We're going to let Duclair have a, from the blue line in and put a triple deke on you from whatever the hell. And it's 1-1. There you go. You can see what's happening here. Soon after, Nylander, who apparently, is he core 4? Core 4? Well, there's no core 4 because Tavares is not a player. He's not an NHL player. He's a fucking bum. And if you don't think, I'll ask a question about John Tavares, and I'll get a little bit more into him a little bit later, because I think he's the reason why Shanahan's plans went right down the tube. Who would you rather have? Sam Reinhart? Anton Lundell? Some guy's name I can't pronounce on the third line? Rio Vainen? Or Tavares? If you answer Tavares, you're crazy. You're a nut. You didn't watch the game. All those 3 players I just named were on the third line for the Florida Panthers and outplayed him the whole entire game. You'd rather have any of them. And guess what they make? They're not bums. Anyways, Nylander was on the 4th line because the 4th line was our best line tonight, and the 4th line didn't even have a third player on it. He made Nylander with a nice pass over to Gustafsson. Gustafsson waits. Has the pass. I think it was going to go to Kerfoot. And goes off the stick of Stalin in the net. Now you're 2-1. And you have no business being up 2-1, but you're up 2-1. Okay, let's take advantage of that. And so we try to take advantage of it by putting Tavares, Marner, and Matthews on in the offensive zone. Okay. You think Tavares is a good player? I disagree. And you got Matthews and Marner who's supposed to light it up. This is supposed to be it. We finally got through the first round. These 2 guys are going to take off. Take off. Well, we took off to the other end. And quickly, Gudas takes a shot off Cardi Verhaeghe's butt and goes in the net. Who cares? 2-2. And then, this is how bad this game was for our top 4 core 4 bullshit. I was hoping and waiting for Kampf, Lafferty, or Riley and Achari, Kerfoot, and whatever winger. You know what? Nylander was great with Kampf and Lafferty. Those were our best lines tonight. Thoughts on them being our best lines tonight. You know what? This year, the top 6 can't complain about. The bottom 6. The bottom 6 were the best players. Matthew Nyes, a college kid, walked in and was the best player for a couple games in Tampa Bay. Does this not spring out something's wrong? I loved Nylander with Kampf and Lafferty. I hated Nylander with Tavares and Yarncock. You want to know why? Because Tavares is terrible. Yarncroc was terrible. Those are your 2 worst. Well, no, your worst player was Mitchie Marner, who somehow, this is the best. So let's talk about our first line. Mitch Marner apparently only had 1 turnover in the game today. 1 turnover. I counted 5 on 1 shift. What are you talking about 1 turnover for 1 giveaway? How many times was Mitch Marner on our end trying to do the Brian Boitano? What would Brian Boitano do? Well, he'll do what Mitchie does and hand the puck to the other team or set up his teammate to make a mistake. That's what Mitchie Marner will do, and just like what Brian Boitano would do. Mitch Marner was the worst player on the ice, both teams. Not even close. Watch Mitch Marner's game. He can't play in the playoffs. He can't. The minute the other team, and we're going to go into a little bit later, Mitch Marner is not capable of having an effect on a playoff game. A $10.8 million player is not able to have an effect on a playoff game that has no power plays. He's good when there's a power play, but the Leafs had no power plays tonight. Because to get a penalty, you have to actually compete and work for pucks, and therefore the other team's got to take a penalty. The Leafs took 2, and look at the 2 penalties they took. The one was a bad holding call. Looked bad. The other one, they stopped a breakaway from happening and killed their goalie. That's because the other team's competing. Duclair's competing. I think Barkov was the other one. Barkov's competing. The Leafs don't know what that word is. Compete? Break it down. Compete. Maybe we hire a name named Pete and we get a website called Com. They don't know what compete is. It's not in their dictionary. They don't have it. Anyways, it goes to overtime. And the one time that Lafferty and Kampf had a bad shift was this one. When they got to let Reinhart walk around, I don't know what he was doing at the blue line. No one was going to the puck. TJ Brody, I don't know what he was doing on the whole shift. Maybe he was tired. I don't know. I wasn't. Anyways, they fired around. It comes back to Reinhart. And now, grade Pee-wee hockey is, cover the post. When it's being ringed around the net, you should have a player on both posts. Camp just skated away from the post. And that just lets, could you score an easier goal in overtime? Reinhart just, no one touched him. Here, have a wraparound while the goalie's going the wrong way because it's ringed around the boards. The goalie's going to obviously think it's going to go around the boards. Should we put that on wall? I don't know. He made an amazing save. Even when Ryan O'Reilly went to the school of Mitch Marner, he had to make an amazing save. Did Ryan O'Reilly have a turnover? Yeah, I guess he had one. I guess that was the one. And it's 3-2, and the Leafs are down 3-0. And you tell me where the positive is, please. Just let me know where the positive is. Our best players of the night were David Kampf and Sam Lafferty, and the goalies, Samsonov and Wall. Those are your best players of the night. Your worst player of the night was Mitch Marner, followed closely by Jan Krok, then Tavares. Matthews does some stuff in the defensive zone at least. I don't think he played a great game. Don't get me wrong. Matthews is part of the blame. But Matthews actually sort of competes. He blocks shots. He gets involved, even though it didn't look that great. Nylander had a beautiful assist. And he played great with Lafferty and Kampf, and not very good with Tavares. I wonder what that common denominator could be. So let's get into what do you do next? It's 3-0. This is embarrassing. So now it'll be 20 years since they've won a game in round 2. Is that what we'll do next? 20. Maybe they're gonna make me eat crow, and I'd love to eat crow. Give me a crow. Give me a fat, big old crow, and I'll eat it if they come back and win this series. I will eat crow. I'll cook a goddamn crow and I'll eat it. And I'll be happy to eat it. But you tell me what is out there that makes it look like there's going to be a comeback. We have the better team. Okay. We have more talent on our team. Fantastic. Those are all good things to make a comeback. But you don't have compete. You have it in some players. Well, Chari competed. He's been pretty impressive in the playoffs. Shen has been I didn't expect that. He's been pretty decent. Lafferty there's no way Lafferty and Kampf didn't compete tonight. They competed. But one of Tavares, did he compete? Well, he can't get there to compete, but if he ever got there, no. I saw him lose a lot of puck battles. Did Marner compete, or did he put on his Brian Boitano show? He couldn't make a pass to a Leaf player. Never. I didn't see one crisp pass from Mitch Marner all night. I saw a nervous, scared little boy playing hockey for $10.8 million. That's what I saw. And I saw Matthews kind of go through the gears, but didn't really, he didn't drive anything to the net. He did nothing. He didn't compete. So here you are. What do you blame? Well, I'm getting texts after the game. Blame Dubas. Well, let's start. Should we blame the coach? Keith, blame the coach. I'm going to hold him accountable. How the hell do you keep Marner and Matthews together? What is this? Marner and Matthews together is not good. And Tavares and Nylander is really not good. Do you know what's good? Matthews with Nylander, and in the past, Marner with Tavares. That's better than what I just told you. Not once did they change it up. You couldn't tell that Marner and Matthews weren't clicking? You couldn't tell? Couldn't see that in the game? With their one shot? Couldn't see it? Pretty easy to see, actually. So yeah, the coaches, how do you start off a second period the same way all the time? It's just disgusting. The Leafs have been outplayed. They got outplayed last night. You could argue game 2 of both series, they played the better team. They've been the worst team in the other games. They shouldn't even have got through the first round. Let's be honest. They shouldn't have got through the first round. It's just the other team, Tampa Bay's goalie, Vasilevsky, was terrible. That's the reason why they got through. Okay, so it can't, well, the coach should be held accountable for sure. Now you got to go to the GM. Okay, the GM, let me think about this. Kyle Dubas. Yes, I think he's a terrible GM, but what's that going to do? Tell me what firing a coach and what firing the GM's going to do. Just tell me what that will do. Do you still have the core 4? Because they can't get it done. So you can do the window dressing on the outside, and I would argue Dubas' window dressing on the outside is the best he's done. Doesn't matter about the outside. What are you going to do with those 4 players that you have for the next 2 years? Or next year at least. What are you going to do with those 4 players? You're going to change them up? A new coach is going to inspire them. Is that right? Well, let's see what the coaches that they've had. Hell, they had the coach that was on the Florida Panthers before. Now, granted, he had Jason Allison. You know what? I want, if I were to do something really funny, if I were to see the funniest video, Canada's funniest home video, get Jason Allison back from wherever he is, put him up with John Tavares, 2 laps around the ice, fastest player wins. Christ, you could have 2 trips to Tim Hortons, and you can't go any slower. That'd be funny to watch. I'd be laughing my ass off watching them try to skate. What are you going to do with the top? It's okay. So you had Maurice. We had Maurice. Then we had Wilson. He took a team to a cup. Then we had Carlisle. Carlisle won a cup. Got the Leafs to the playoffs. And then I always joke, can anyone name the coach between, if you're not a real Leaf fan, if you can't name the coach after Randy Carlisle, and half the people say Mike Babcock, and that's why you're not a real fan. Because you don't care. You just, whatever. It was Peter Hornacek, where the friggin' trailer wheels fell off, whatever that friggin' term was, where every player on the team took the last game off, and then we got Babcock. Babcock won a cup. Now we got Keith. So is it the coach? I don't think it's the coach. I think the coach was horrible tonight, and he got out coached. So maybe you change the coach. Wow. Does that change the core 4? No. You get rid of Dubas. Okay. Get rid of Dubas. What team is taking Tavares? What team? You couldn't trade him for a pack of pucks. And yeah, okay, we knew his last 2 years were going to be bad. Guess what? His first 6 were bad too, okay? He's proven that he's a terrible player. The only reason he had a 1 season is because Marner fed him the puck. Again, great regular season team. In the playoffs, nothing. He got hurt against Montreal. I don't care. He's been nothing in the playoffs. He's been terrible. He's been a terrible addition to this team for his price. You can get rid of Tavares? You can get rid of Marner. What team's going to take Marner at $10.8 million? What team? Name the friggin' team. The only 2 players that you could get rid of are Matthews and Nylander. And personally, I think those are the 2 you keep. So you get a new GM. Are they going to do anything with the core 4? Will they have the brass tacks that's required to get Tavares the hell out of there? I don't even know how you do that. You'd have to be a magician. You've got a problem with Tavares. It's pretty evident. He's not as much of a captain as can be seen because the team don't play with heart. They don't rally around him. That's for damn sure. And you got, what, Marner, Matthews, Nylander. Nylander you could trade, but you got a great contract with Nylander right now. So you're gonna mess with the window dressing and maybe trade Nylander for something? Is that what we're gonna do? Does that change anything? No. You still have Tavares. You still have Marner on the team. You've got no compete. Okay. So what do? Give it a Shanna plan? Well, let's talk about the Shanna plan for a little bit, eh? Wasn't the Shanna plan supposed to be skilled, fast team? Get skilled, get fast, and sign them long term. That's the Shanna plan? So then why during the Shanna plan? Now, they were, first 3 years, they kept on the Shanna plan. They made trades like Kadri for Kerfoot. That's speed. Kerfoot's fast. Not skilled, but he's fast. They had Kapanen. Kasperi Kapanen. They had Andres Johansson. They had guys that could burn rubber. They're fast. They're actually fun to watch. Fast. And yes, Boston beat them. A couple of the games Boston beat them. Jake Gardiner threw the puck at, 5 assists for the wrong team. They're fast. They had Anderson and Ned. Anderson had the ability to give up the goal, but they were fast. And all of a sudden, what happened to this Shanaplan? Nick Foligno? That don't sound fast and skilled to me. John Tavares? Not fast, not skilled. And before that, it was Stamkos. This plan screwed up the minute they started to try to get another star forward. That's not what you're supposed to do. You have to have defensemen. How's Florida doing with Ekblad back there? Boston with McAvoy, Tampa Bay with Hedman, Cale Makar in Colorado, Peter Angelo. How are the teams with good stud defensemen doing? I'd even go as far as to say, and I'm not a big Edmonton Oilers fan, but Ekholm's a damn good defenseman. What happened to this Shanaplan? Shanaplan has no defense. So taking $11 million from John Tavares, and now in a cap area, you can't get away with nonsense like that. You can't make mistakes. It's not possible to make mistakes like that. And then you leave the defense. And you leave them to the following defenseman. Morgan Riley, not a bad defenseman. Third or fourth defenseman. He's not a stud. He ain't. We've watched Morgan Riley for a long time. I like Morgan Riley. I think he's a good player. Third or fourth defenseman? Maybe. He's an NHL defenseman, I'll give you that. We bring in Jake McCabe, who really surprisingly couldn't make the playoffs with Buffalo and Chicago. And I wonder why Buffalo and Chicago were so bad. I found out after the first goal. Why? And TJ Brody, who's been so good. He has been good. He was terrible. He's been terrible this whole playoffs. The whole playoffs, he's been terrible. Maybe he partnered with McCabe ain't the key to this. Then you got Justin Hall, Mark Giordano, Eric Gustafson. I guess Timothy Liljegren's not on the mix anymore. And Luke Shen. That's not good enough. It just isn't. The goalies, Samsonov, Hall, you can put one goal on Samsonov so far this series. I couldn't put one on Hall. Triple deep breakaway. A deflection off a guy's ass. And a wraparound, which your team just let the guy wrap it around with nobody's business. He could have wrapped it around, and if he got like a rebound, he could have had 2 more shots. Now, they could win it all. Oh, that'd be great, eh? I would love it. I would actually be a happy person, but there's a reality to this. The only way this changes, the only way, is if you bring in a GM, like Shanaplan, they go Shanaplan, I don't care who Shanaplan. You got to bring in a leadership group, an executive leadership group that understands this core 4 can't get it done. It is not possible for them to get it done. They've proven it. Plenty of opportunities. This isn't their first shot at the rodeo. They don't have a compete. You got to keep Matthews. Matthews might not stay. If Matthews doesn't stay, then we're 5 more years before we get a team. But let's say you can convince Matthews to stay. You keep him. You keep Nylander for me. Nylander's a skilled winger, can always use it. There has to be a realization in this organization. There has to be. You can watch Mitchie Marner play all you want. Mitchie Marner, and I won't even lump these 3 players, because Tavares is not a core 4. Tavares I can't even compare him to the players I'm about to give you because he stinks. The Leafs, Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton, Jason Spezza, all decided to join the Leafs, and all have a couple things in common. Really good regular seasons, not a lot of playoff success. Mike Gartner, great player, great regular season player, great player. 700 goals or something? Sucked in the playoffs. That's what they are. You have 3 players that are really, really good regular season players. that can't get it done in the playoffs because they can't compete. They've proven it. So deal with it. You bring in a GM who can trade Mitch Marner. I'm interested in this. But I don't think there's anybody that will trade him. I don't think you hire every GM's going to do the exact same thing that's happening with this GM, so why fire him? I don't care. They're going to keep the core four. There will not be a change. So, next year, we'll try to fix the window dressing and won't fix the house. Because the house sucks. It's cracked. It doesn't work. Game 4 on Wednesday. They put us out of our misery, or do they take it to Game 5? After seeing what I've seen this playoffs, I don't think there's a Game 5. Cheers.